Hello, Tiffani Cappello here, and welcome to my channel, friends. We are on a journey together to find peace of mind, to set aside anxiety, panic, depression, change the way we're thinking. And I'm glad you've decided to join me today. I consider that a privilege, believe it or not. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think I'm super special. I'm just an everyday woman, and I'm on a journey with you. And because I have overcome extreme anxiety and I have made it a career to help other people, and it is the absolute love of my life what I do. I love helping people to be set free. And today we are going to talk about how to protect your nervous system. So whether you have anxiety currently, or you've already overcome your anxiety, or you're on that journey to overcoming your anxiety, protecting your nervous system is crucial because your nervous system needs to be in perfect balance. And you have two branches of the nervous system I would like to mention to you to start out with. Some of you are already familiar with this, but some people aren't. So you have two branches of your nervous system, and when they operate in homeostasis or balance, you are in a good mindset, a good state. And so you have the sympathetic or the fight or flight. And then you have the parasympathetic, the rest and restore. And these systems ebb and flow throughout your life, throughout your months, weeks, days. And it's normal for you to go into fight or flight. This is how your brain protects you. And you go into sympathetic perhaps every day, especially in our modern society. So, for example, if you are out driving, you suddenly get in a traffic jam and you're going to be late from work, that's going to be stressful. You might go into a little fight or flight. But over time, as you arrive at work, you realize, I wasn't late. Wow, I made it. Your parasympathetic moves in and sort of balances that back down, bringing you to a state of homeostasis and balance. Now, I realize this isn't a highly technical or scientific explanation. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not a biochemist. So those details you'll have to get elsewhere. But for the sake of this video and our purposes today, what you need to understand is that if you are struggling with anxiety, your nervous system is out of balance, okay? You're spending a good deal of your day, perhaps even, in fight or flight. And if you're struggling with a panic disorder and you're going into panic attacks on a routine basis, you're even more dysregulated with a higher level of sympathetic dominance, okay? Now, whether you're going through that right now, or you're on the road to recovery, or you've already recovered, protecting your nervous system is a key life skill that we all should have, even people without anxiety and depression. And in our modern society, let's face it, we face stresses that previous generations never faced. And people sometimes laugh at me when I say that. They're like, oh, come on, Tiffani. We don't have to worry about being starving to death over the winter. We don't have to worry about our children dying or dying in childbirth. Life is so much easier. Well, yes, it is easy, but they had these acute stressors in their lives. But we have these chronic day-to-day low-grade stressors that are really adding up and overwhelming the nervous system. Now, especially if you had a really stressful early childhood like I did, the earlier you face trauma and stress, the more it impacts your nervous system. Now, yesterday we talked about being a victim and not being a victim, even if you were, okay. If you didn't catch that video, please go back and watch it. There's a lot of good information there. So I'm not saying that so you'll think, oh, great. I mean, I myself suffered from very early trauma. From the moment I was born into a dangerous world. My mom was a drug addict and a biker and in a biker gang. That was a dangerous world. There was crime, there was violence, there was drugs. I wasn't cared for properly, okay? And I don't say these things to shame my mom. She has passed away. I love her. I've forgiven her. And she did the best she could. She didn't have the resources that we have today to find healing. She didn't know how to access those. And by the time they were available, she was pretty bad off. So I'm not trying to be judgmental. However, it really impacted me and my nervous system. And I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I'm not done healing my nervous system. I live a peaceful life for the most part, not perfect, but I'm still on this journey, okay? I still have some nervous system dysregulation going on, even though I'm free of anxiety, and I'm working on that. Most of you won't have to deal with that unless you also had that very early pre-verbal childhood trauma. I don't say that to make you feel sorry for me. I just want you to know that because I'm sitting here talking to you doesn't mean that I've got it together, that I have achieved perfection. There is no perfection. Perfectionism is a very dangerous mindset. It's a self-abusive mindset. I don't expect myself to be perfect. I don't want you to expect yourself to be perfect. I want you to look at your life as a journey towards becoming better and stronger and wiser day by day, but also becoming more peaceful, centered, grounded. That is possible no matter how much trauma you've had. And that is a message I will continue to shout from the rooftops. No matter how much trauma you've had, you can find peace of mind. Please don't let anyone make you feel hopelessly broken and defective. I saw a couple therapists that did that. If I had believed them, I don't know where I would be today. And I'm so thankful I didn't. And I don't want you to believe that either. You can find victory. Excuse me, I'm getting a frog in my throat. So today we're going to talk about how do you protect your nervous system. This is something that I am very proactive about because my nervous system isn't 100% healed yet. And even at the point where it is, we still have to protect our nervous systems because of the stress of modern day life, okay? Modern times are stressful. We face a lot of time pressure that people in ancient civilizations didn't face. Now, there's two stressors that research demonstrates cause the most nervous system dysregulation. I'm talking about daily stressors, not traumas from the past. I'm talking about today. One of them is time pressure, always having to rush, always feeling pushed and prodded. And some of you have careers where you're forced to stay on a very strict schedule, and that can be very dysregulating. I'm not suggesting you quit, but that you're able to counterbalance that. And the second thing is feeling like you are backed in a corner and there's no hope, okay? Those two things in any area of your life are going to be super stressful and dysregulating. It's important that you address those whenever possible and ameliorate those. And most of the time, that's done internally. Sometimes we can make those external changes. Sometimes we just have to shift internally because these things externally are outside of our control. Okay, so how do you protect your nervous system? The first thing I want you to remember is do not feel like you're a victim, even if you are. If you've been victimized, it's important not to wallow in that, okay? Not to just sit around and complain about how complex modern society is, how difficult your life is, how rough you've had it. You got to get some grit and you got to take action and you got to say, you know what, screw this. I don't care how many rocks are thrown at me. I don't care how many strikes I've had against me. I will rise. And you must be proactive, not only dealing with these nervous system dysregulators that you're encountering today, but on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, protecting yourself. So when you get to that point, like I am now, where you realize, gosh, life is good. I don't have to deal with anxiety every day, and you will get there. You will get there. You need to protect yourself and your nervous system so that you don't return to that state, okay? Because if you're not careful, you could, okay? And that's what this video is really about. So if you remember, I've talked about viewing your brain sometimes like that scared child. Your brain is part of your nervous system. So when you think about protecting your nervous system, it's really helpful to think about protecting a small child. We often don't have enough compassion on our adult self. And so picking up on that metaphor helps us to have a different sort of mindset towards ourselves and our physiology and our brains so that we are protecting ourselves in a compassionate way. So view your nervous system as a frightened child when it's getting out of balance, okay? And come at it with a sense of comfort and protection. If you have a frightened child, you're going to be very protective. If someone's bullying your child, you're upset, okay? If your child is getting out of balance, you want to intervene, okay? If your child's not getting their needs met, you want to step in and say, what can I do to make sure that child has his or her needs met? So you need to do that for yourself, okay? Because if you think about it, you are the only person that can truly advocate for yourself on a high level because no one else really knows what's going on in here. Only you do, okay? So you've got to be that person who's willing to protect yourself. And as I've said before, if you are not willing to advocate and protect yourself, your subconscious mind does not feel safe, okay? Because it can't count on you to protect yourself. So it just continually fires these alarm messages off so that you will wake up and protect yourself. It's trying to get you to do that, okay? So let's talk about 5 steps to protecting your nervous system. The first step is to know your limitations, okay? Our society today often emphasizes like you have no limitations. Now, there's part of me that agrees with that. Like, you really can do so much more than you think you can if you believe that you can, okay? If you believe you're stupid, you're not going to even attempt certain things. If you believe you're unlovable, you might not be willing to open your heart to a relationship. So we do put these limits on ourselves that hold us back, okay? So I understand that. But when it comes to your capacity, your nervous system capacity, and your capacity, your energy capacity on a day-to-day basis, we often get the message. There's a lot of gurus out there basically telling you, oh, just suck it up and work harder than everybody else, work longer than everybody else, neglect your family to make money, neglect your health to get things done. Okay, I'm not one of those people. I did it. I got 3 to 4 hours of sleep because I had an agenda in my mind and it had to get done. And I just was going to do it, damn it. Okay. Nothing was going to stop me. Now, that's a useful attitude in some contexts, but what it did was pretty much destroy me. Okay. Because I went without sleep. I didn't pay attention to my diet. I allowed toxic influences in my life. I did all these things and then boom, my nervous system crashed and my health crashed. And it took me years to pick up the pieces from that. I didn't know how to protect myself. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. Okay. So you need to know your limitations. Okay. If your nervous system is dysregulated right now, if you're struggling with anxiety and panic, it might be necessary for you to take a step back to heal. Okay. You don't need to feel guilty about that. If you go skiing this weekend and you break your leg, and you have to take some time to heal, no one's going to guilt you about that, okay? You're not going to feel guilty. You know your leg is broke. You can't keep your house up the way you did. You can't go out for the big party on Friday night. You're busy healing, okay? Because we can't see anxiety and depression externally, people expect us to just keep doing everything we did, to keep pushing at the same level that we used to push. When you're dysregulated, you can't do that anymore. It's time to take a step back. You'll get back there again, hopefully in a more balanced way, but you'll get back to living a full life again. But right now, take the time you need to heal. Know your limitations, okay? It's okay to say no. It's okay to take a step back, which brings me to step 2. Set boundaries and say no, okay? If you're overwhelmed from a long, hard work week, it's okay to say no to watching your neighbor's children, to say no to making that phone call, to say no to going to that party, to say no to overtime, okay? Got to put yourself first. You've got to protect yourself. You have a right to say no to things that are going to harm you. Step 3, and I really encourage people to do this. This is really hard for people. It's hard for me. But take a hiatus, a sabbatical from the news and social media. Now, you don't have to pull back from social media entirely, but you need to pull back from the negative crap. The algorithms run on feeding you shit that is going to upset you, okay? Your nervous system is frightened. It's afraid. Would you take a child that's afraid to go to bed at night and then, expose them to a bunch of scary stuff? Would you say to your child, hey, I know you're scared to go to bed. Let me tell you a ghost story. Hey, you're not going to do that unless you're a sadistic parent. You are going to comfort and soothe your child. You need to do that for yourself. So expose yourself to things that are comforting, soothing to yourself instead of this crap on social media. Right now, post-election, 2024, every time, I started going on social media since before and after the election, and 50% of the people hate the other 50% of the people who hate them, okay? And they're just constantly judging and criticizing and attacking. And it's funny because I could post the most benign, happy thing, and somehow people would make it about politics. I could post about my garden, and somehow people would make it about politics and start arguing, okay? And I just don't want to participate in that, okay? I don't have all the answers. It's not that I don't vote or participate, but I protect myself. So I participated for a while, and then I noticed my nervous system is suffering. I'm starting to get upset. I'm starting to question myself. I'm starting to get frightened about the future of the world. So it takes a lot, but draw back from that. It's not that you're never going to be able to participate in that. It's not that you have to draw back permanently, but while you are healing, you need to protect yourself and give yourself that space to heal. Your nervous system is very sensitized right now. It's sensitive to everything, and you need to take a break, okay? Trust me on this one. It'll be one of the most important things you do on your road to recovery. 4, other external influences, okay? Scary movies, okay? These really rev up that fight or flight, and I know a lot of you love them. I used to love them, but I found that my sensitive nervous system really didn't like them. So there's some that I'll watch occasionally, like I love alien movies, okay? But I don't watch movies about children being kidnapped. I have kids. I don't want to go to bed thinking about that, okay? That puts me in a state where I'm viewing the world as a dangerous place, okay? If what you're consuming and watching is making you feel like the world is a horrible place, people are horrible, and I'm in danger all the time, heads up, you need to stop that, okay? Your nervous system is not going to heal if that is your worldview, okay? Another external influence, overwork. I know sometimes this is hard because the companies we work for might put a lot of pressure on us, but even if you have to go into that time of increased work, take a step back in other areas. Hire somebody to clean your house, get some help from your family and friends, take a break, take a whole day off on a Sunday and say, the cleaning can wait. If you have to work really hard at your job, harder than you think you should be required, and it's draining you, then take a step back from meal prep, take a step back from things, and sometimes you might need to hire a meal service. Sometimes you might need to eat simpler. Okay, give yourself a break. You don't deserve to crash. Okay, overtraining. I'm talking about exercise here. I love weightlifting. I love to be at the gym. I really have to be careful here. I could work out 3 hours a day if I had the time. So sometimes I would push myself so hard there that I would notice I'm more emotionally volatile. I'm having trouble sleeping at night. I'm getting triggered more easily. Okay, that's a sign that I'm overtraining. If I have this low level of fatigue, if I'm super sore all the time, be careful, because exercise is wonderful for the nervous system in balance. Overdone, it's terrible for your nervous system. Okay, watch your diet. Too much sugar, too much junk food, too much crap. Okay, and a big one, we've talked about this before. I have other videos on this you can access. Toxic people. Sometimes they're the people we love the most. Sometimes you need to just wall yourself off from the people and the things that are agitating your nervous system. And now step 5 is internal influences. Okay, now here's the big one that I think most people don't think about. Those repressed emotions. Okay, that anger that you're ashamed of, that sadness, that guilt that you've been struggling with over a certain issue. I don't want you to think that in order to have a balanced nervous system, you have to resolve every childhood trauma, that you have to work through every bit of guilt. Okay, but you do have to be able to feel and express it, because when we repress our emotions, the energy of that builds up in our system. I heard a great analogy the other day. It's like hitting a gong, if you've ever seen a gong or a singing bowl, and it begins to reverberate and it makes that sound. Okay, it's like hitting that gong and then grabbing onto it and then just letting to try to stop it, and then it vibrates and shakes your entire system. That's what you're doing to your nervous system when you try to keep everything inside. And sometimes it's not appropriate to express our anger to the person we're angry at. Sometimes we don't know what to do with the guilt, but get it out. If you don't have a friend to talk to, I highly, highly, highly recommend a process I call journaling to freedom. Also, I have a video on that. And that journaling to freedom is when you have a daily time where you just get it out. What am I angry about? What makes me sad? What do I feel guilty about? You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to resolve it right there, but just have that freedom of emotional expression. Keep it from building in here, because when it builds in there, it's agitating your nervous system. Another internal influence is our toxic thoughts and beliefs. That's what this channel is really about, helping you change the way you think about your life, about other people, and mostly about yourself, and changing your thinking, because you know if you have anxiety that you think differently than someone who doesn't. I want you to think like someone who doesn't have anxiety. So it's about shifting. Ultimately, our thoughts come from our beliefs, and those beliefs are generated back here. But remember something I always say: what can be programmed in back here can be programmed out, because you have this beautiful neuroplastic brain that is capable of creating new neural connections for new thought patterns and behaviors. And stay tuned to this channel. And that's what we're going to be talking about: how to go about doing that, changing the way you think and live so that you could find true peace of mind. So have a good day. I love you guys. Bye-bye.